Greetings and welcome to the Diary of Cobweb Cottage, a little yellow house tucked among the towering pines just beyond the old stone wall of the village cemetery. Here in our tiny yet cozy home, we spent our days tending the garden, painting by the window, baking warm treats, and filling every corner with vintage charm. Each season brings its own enchantment, but springtime is especially sweet, filled with seedlings stretching towards the sun, blossoms unfurling, picnics in the meadow, and the gentle rhythm of rain showers on the roof. The woodland critters who dwell alongside us bring endless delight, reminding us the smallest joys are often the grandest of all. A cup of tea on a chilly morning, the first scent of lilacs on the breeze, a small chipmunk waking up after winter's rest. These are the simple, fleeting moments that make our countryside cottage feel like a charming storybook come to life. We invite you, dear reader, to settle in and enjoy a collection of springtime stories from our cottage diary. With our best wishes, signed, Lindsay and Jonas. P.S. We hope you've poured yourself a lovely cup of tea. Just a little note to say that if you love vintage and cottagecore as much as we do, we hope you'll enjoy the charming art prints and seasonal postcards that we've created, available in our Etsy shop that's linked below. Now let me share a little poem from our cottage diary with you. The robin has declared that springtime is here with a cheerful song in the morning. The bluebird tends a cozy new feathered nest while other critters are still snoring. The snowdrops, daffodils, and violets too know that now is the right time to bloom. Open the windows, blow the cobwebs away. Rejoice, for springtime is here today. On this radiant morning of spring, every blossoming bud and branch that encircled the little yellow cottage seemed to just about burst in the first warm sunshine. Singing brightly, the birds are messengers of happiness, greeting the spring on joyful wings. At long last, spring is in the air at Cobweb Cottage. The blue sky knew it, and the wind blew it with a soft breeze, and the sunbeams felt it as they danced through the treetops. Dear little Tibby the chipmunk senses it too, for he springs up from his cozy hibernation hole along the old stone wall and greets the other cottage critters that have returned. We welcome back our feathered friends by cleaning out the birdhouses and feeders that neighbor the historic cemetery. Soon, we hope new life will be hatched here. And all of us who call this place home certainly can feel spring knocking on the door. You can't help but want to invite it in like an old cheerful friend that's come to visit. And we invite you to welcome spring happiness with us here at our little vintage cottage. Let's begin by taking in some fresh air while our beautiful lace curtains have been gently hand washed and hung to dry. The sun shines brightly through the floral design, landing softly on the shingled cottage walls. The shadows it creates reminds us of all the cobwebs that have just been swished away by brooms and feathers. When our curtains are dry, we'll hang them as new cobwebs in our windows, hoping for gentle shadow patterns to wake us up in the mornings to come. A basket of flowers and a soft breeze that tickles the curtains makes a cheerful kitchen shine. Daffodils are a favorite flower of ours, and come to think of it, I've never heard anyone say they don't like daffodils. To invite more light into our home, we know it's time to wash the windows. To inspire nature to fully awaken, we are making a homemade natural cleaning solution with dried lavender that truly leaves a wonderful spring fragrance for all the critters around the cottage to enjoy. A mundane task such as window washing makes you see life a little more clearly, and it's not a bad idea to whistle while you work. Fresh linens are already brightening the cottage and inspiring us to refresh our bedroom by bringing more of nature's wonders indoors while we wait for the world to turn green again. Nature has the positive effect of giving our mind some rest. So the secret garden theme feels like it's unlocked a new level of relaxation. As a new day dawns, we are uplifted after a good night's sleep to continue inviting spring into the cottage. The order of the day is some decorating, painting, baking, and having a tea party for two. To begin decorating, I've rounded up all of my cottagecore decor that feels like springtime. All these items are either thrifted, vintage, or handmade gifts. Floral linens add a touch of romantic charm, while ceramics like teacups and teapots add a touch of whimsy. I've selected a handful of my favorite antique postcards to display with themes of flowers, butterflies, and birds. And let's not forget our storybooks. Because springtime feels so playful and youthful that I love displaying children's books this time of year. Now let's make the cottage feel like a vintage fairy tale. In the living room, we're embracing a colorful cottage garden setting, and even some of our own tools have found their way into the decor. There's just one final piece to complete the decorations. We found this little wooden birdhouse in a thrift store and almost went home without it. At the last minute, we agreed that it deserved a second chance to live with us at the cottage. For the design, we were inspired by vintage bluebird postcards with a color palette of robin's egg blue and cherry blossom pink. Did you know that bluebirds symbolize happiness? We always welcome them whenever we hear them sing. If you enjoy Jonas's artwork, then we're happy to let you know that there are art prints available on Etsy, and a bluebird of happiness is there waiting for you. This charming birdhouse is now a part of our home and a daily reminder, kind and true, to invite happiness into our lives. It is time for the moment of the day that all the inhabitants around the cottage love most. It's time to bake a cake. Even if the critters outdoors can't taste it, we like to imagine that they enjoy the lovely aroma. The sunshiny daffodils have been inspiring us to celebrate with something yellow, so a lemon cake pie seems to be the delightful choice. The filling of this cake can be enjoyed by itself, but adding a crust with some decorative designs surely puts an extra smile on the day. After all our efforts to invite spring to the cottage, we can truly feel that happiness is here as a guest. For to quote a beloved author, "A house with daffodils in it is a house lit up, whether or no the sun be shining outside." Greetings! Spring has arrived to Cobweb Cottage, and all of us here are delighted to welcome this vernal season of renewal. It feels like our little corner of the world is waking up as the days are growing brighter, and the birds sing so sweetly in the morning. It feels like a daily celebration of new life. With April on the way, it's time to add some whimsical Easter touches to our spring decor. Using pops of yellow with youthful daffodils, baby chicks, and colorful eggs that brings a sunshiny smile to our little home. Most of our Easter items are either vintage, thrifted, or handmade by family in Sweden. Our spring and Easter decor is a playful blending of the old-fashioned style combined with colorful cottagecore. So why don't you settle in and join us at the cottage as we do some crafting, baking, and add some whimsy to the seasonal celebration. Let's begin by decorating this year's spring tree.
We would like to tell you a story about the påskkärring, or Easter witch, a folk tradition from Sweden that found its way to the Sleepy Hollow countryside. You see, once upon a time it was believed that her ancestor, the witches, would travel through the sky on broomsticks, always at the same day, the Thursday before Easter. The villagers would lit up firecrackers and big bonfires in protection, since horrible things could happen. Today they are almost like forgotten stories, and evil appearances have been replaced by friendly freckle-faced children in colorful clothes and with copper teapots in hand, knocking on doors to wish a happy Easter and hoping to receive some candy. So when this young lady was spotted, there was nothing to fear. The Swedish påskkärring that always wandered to the forest of these woods enjoyed its nature very much. As she saw the tree that the wind had taken, she decided to make something beautiful of it. That way its misery would not be in vain, and she would remember how beautiful it once had been. As she was done collecting its branches, one of its buds started to grow, and a man grew out, and he was tall as a tree, and as their eyes met, they knew they loved each other very much.
Thank you for joining our spring celebration at the cottage. We hope you found some joy and inspiration, and do let us know what you're looking forward to this springtime. We'll leave you for now with this greeting for the season. The birds are back and the flowers awake. The world is all shiny and new, and I echo their cheer as for old time's sake to wish a happy Easter to you. It seemingly happened overnight, though the earth had been slowly waking up from a winter dream, waiting for just the right moment to blossom. All the creatures around the little yellow cottage know that it could only be on this sort of cheerful morning when you feel straight away that spring has certainly sprung. To be greeted by friendly flowers smiling up at you stirs up happiness in such a multitude that you can't help but smile back. Soft sunshine and a gentle breeze through delicate lace curtains beckon you outdoors as a lovely message of cheer. Our feathered friends have already been greeting the new day with song. They sound twitter-pated, and it only seems proper to serve them their breakfast first at the old faithful maple tree, which is a reliable host to their gatherings. It's on this gentle sort of morning when the world seems to waken anew and is in tune with harmony and hope abounds. The hours of springtime are bright, and the opening flowers are as glad as the bluebird song. We are thrilled to be busy as bees puttering in the cottage garden once again, preparing for the awakening of spring to flourish. This season is another chance to learn how to help keep our plants thriving and in turn teach us how to bloom and grow. Join us at Cobweb Cottage, where we embrace a gentle life, and you're invited to take part in the cheerfulness of spring.
To make our first picnic of the year extra memorable and full of spring, we have selected a recipe from the Cottagecore baking book by Kayla, the creator of Under a Tin Roof. It's a beautiful book filled with many delightful recipes for people like us who enjoy simple, cozy living. Since the cherry blossoms are in full bloom, we feel it will bring a sense of gentleness to our picnic by baking cherry almond scones. As a part of our healthy living, we make room to treat ourselves now and then. After all, life has all the flavors from savory to sweet, and baking it at home makes us aware of what we put into our bodies. It is an artistic pleasure to put ingredients together by hand and enjoy the creation that comes out of it. In a balanced ratio, the sweetness of life is a reward that can overtake the bitterness of darker days and remind us that behind every cloud shines a sun.
The picnic premiere commences when the daffodils are in bloom. On the picnic blanket, stress is left behind and our thoughts get more in tune with nature in the most charming ways. It's an opportunity to get to know the local birds and their songs. It is, as they say, you can't be a stranger if you know someone's name. Time in nature helps us feel our place in the world and connected with creation. Our beautiful earth is full of so many gifts. As the leaves of the trees capture sunlight and help us to breathe fresh air, we in turn help the trees to live. Springtime is a gentle reminder to marvel at the miracle of life and rebirth. Our precious planet can thrive when a transformation takes place. May we all come away with a renewed sense of awakening to be kind to ourselves, others, and this wonderful world. When you feel like you are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, we find kite flying is the best activity. In that blissful moment when the wind carries it high above like an extension of yourself, suddenly you have wings to soar. The silver lining of every cloud is knowing that the sun is shining somewhere. Even when hope is eclipsed by shadows of fear and overwhelm, remember that blue skies are just around the corner. When the April showers arrived at Cobweb Cottage, it rained and showered for days on end, and then it dripped and dropped some more until it seemed the tiny little yellow house might simply float away, leaving the critters and the old cemetery behind. In times of downpour, just remember to take shelter in the fact that soon Mayflowers will come and sunny skies above your head. Dear friends, we love the months that spring returns to Cobweb Cottage. It is during those days that we remember the old saying, April showers bring May flowers. And indeed it is a pure joy to see the slow transformation, starting with a tiny bud that breaks out as a colorful blossom and finally settles as a bright green leaf. A leaf that in the wind is waving at us, perhaps to remind us that a new exciting time is at hand.
The old Japanese maple tree that stands over the cottage always knows exactly when it's time to bloom at the start of May. This guardian has awakened and surrounds the cottage with a lovely cool shade just as the days grow longer and warmer.
The time between early spring and summer might be the most colorful time of the year. From the periwinkles that line the old stone wall to the purple pansies we planted in the garden. But the flowers we cherish most of all are the sweet little violets that grow wild in the graveyard beside the cottage.
It is nice to see the cemetery bursting with life, and especially our dear friend the robin that looks for worms alongside us as we gather violets. His company and song is as joyful as Maytime itself.
Greetings! Before we moved to this little vintage cottage, I couldn't have told you that everything turns green in May, seemingly overnight when spring meets summer. And I couldn't have told you that the tulips bloom when the ferns unfurl. And I certainly couldn't have told you that I would fall in love with the sweet little violets every spring. But perhaps I could have told you sooner if I had a charming guidebook like How to Be a Wildflower. Of course, Mother Nature is a wonderful guide all her own. And it's at the start of wildflower season, where the whimsical blooms dot the countryside. This is the perfect time to get to know the flowers even better. As we gather, it's important to remember that the wildflowers are here for the wildlife, so leave enough for the bees. Of course, we can also gather from the medicinal benefits, but take care in foraging in spots that are mostly undisturbed by humans. Do your research to make sure they are indeed edible flowers and that they are not a threatened species. Here at Cobweb Cottage, it's a yearly tradition to make a sweet treat with the sweet little violets that grow in our yard. Working with the wildflowers is such a charming way to spend a gentle afternoon in the kitchen. It's a beautiful sunshiny day at the cottage, the sort that beckons you away for a wander in search of wildflowers. It seems like magic how these flowers grow all on their own with such untamed beauty year after year. Yet their petals only last for a short window of time, making their presence all the more precious. Have you ever sensed the tender scent captured on the breeze? The lovely lilacs whisper softly, "Come and be at ease." When the oriole darts like a gleam of red gold, then summer is sure on the way. The trees in the orchard their blossoms unfold, and each is a May Day bouquet. There are several ways to savor the colors and scents of springtime. From salads to simple syrups, floral jellies, teas, baked goods, and more, these are just a few ways that we enjoy them. Thank you for stopping by Cobweb Cottage. We hope you found a little peace and quiet here. If you've enjoyed our diary stories and artwork, we're delighted to share that you can find our art prints and postcards on Etsy linked below. And now, dear friend, we extend to you a parting poem to wish you a wonderful day. Until next time, bye for now from all of us at Cobweb Cottage. So many things can bring joy to the day. They all seem to come from old-fashioned ways. A nice little rest right under a tree, listening to birds while having some tea. But one for me lays closer to my soul. A postcard from you makes my heart feel whole.